changes we can expect it to release at the end of this year. According to China BR, Creative 2.0 might be released in the middle of the next season. Personally, I haven't been given an exact release date for Creative 2.0 yet, but if this rumor is true, it will be released in mid-December or early January. We knew that Creative 2.0 would be released sometime this year. Confirmed by CEO of Epic Games Tim Sweeney, there was a change in the Fortnite Creative Discord server where the name changed to Fortnite Creators to hint as if Creative 2.0 is releasing soon. We know that Creative 2.0 has been in the works for a while now, and we might see the release of the project in the middle of next season, so at the end of the year, probably in mid-December. Creative 2.0 most likely will have tools similar to Unreal Engine 5, said by Hypex. Tim Sweeney mentioned that Fortnite switching to Unreal Engine 5 was to take advantage of UE5's new features and getting Fortnite ready for Creative 2.0, which won't have a ready version until 2022. Tim Sweeney on Creative 2.0. We hope to do it this year, but it's coming next year, is opening up the Unreal edit tools and the new scripting language onto the entire community around Fortnite. We can expect to have tools shown in this video. Take a look.
Traditional foliage paint was more meant for, I think, painting down more density than single objects, but it's still pretty useful to be able to plop down trees and objects with single clicks around the level like that. This was definitely requested by the level designers and allowed them to use the foliage paint tool, whereas previously they weren't really getting much out of it. This is just an example of how two water bodies near each other can have completely different wave spectrum values, the one on the left having moderately choppy waves and the one on the right having almost no waves. This video shows what it's like to edit the wave spectrum values for the Fortnite ocean. First, we will set the number of waves to 0 to show a calm ocean. Then we will slowly re-enable the waves one at a time. You can see how each wave after the first few has a relatively small impact, but they still help in the final result. Next, we can adjust the amplitudes to make the waves larger or smaller. We have to be careful to test after playing with these values because the waves tend to look a lot bigger from the player perspective. Adjusting the fall-off allows you to adjust the distribution between your small and large waves. This lets you say whether you'd rather have more of the small waves, more of the large waves, or an equal distribution if the fall-off is 1. And the same goes for wavelengths as well. We typically use a wavelength fall-off of somewhere around 3 or 4 because we tend to want more of the small waves versus more of the large waves. We can also adjust the wave steepness. The dominant wave direction determines the direction of the first and largest wave, which is also the starting point from which all the other random waves are generated from. You can also adjust the amount of angular random spread for those secondary waves as well. This video demonstrates some of the fluid interactions in Fortnite. Weapons and character movements disturb the water and the foam on the surface of the water. The simulation is performed in a local range around the player, and it can be affected by a set number of other nearby players as well. The simulation can also be affected by the river flow maps that are generated by editing the water spline points. This causes the ripples to flow downstream, as you would expect. Here, a debug command is entered to show the character fluid force. We basically draw a stick figure shape by supplying bone locations and rendering them as capsules in a material. Boats use a simpler fluid force type that is a simple texture-based shape defined by an effects artist that is attached to the boat mesh. With the boat, we can cause much larger ripples and clear larger paths in the foam. The fluid simulation helps add to the feel of the player interacting with the world as they drive the vehicle. The biome also makes interesting use of the fluid diffusion channel by making moving objects clear a path in the pond scum. This can provide some visual interest when wading through the swamp as a player, or driving through in the boat. It also uses the same method to create a glow effect in the slurp juice that is spilled throughout the swamp. Controlling each time separately allows artistic control as a layer on top of physical basis. Here we see the effect of scrubbing the time of day preview inside of the editor. We can see how, even though this is a physically based sky, it still manages to look fairly stylized with nice artistic and stylistic colors. And here we disabled height fog,